In the early 2000s, Japanese authorities began discovering something that had no name yet. Elderly people were dying alone in their apartments. That's not unusual. What was unusual was the gap between when they died and when anyone found them. Days sometimes, weeks in others, months in some cases. The Japanese gave it a name, kotokushi. Lonely death. By 2009, the government estimated over 30,000 people a year were dying this way, alone, undiscovered, in a city of millions living 10 feet from each other through thin walls. Japan didn't respond with grief counseling. They responded with inspectors. Government officials whose entire job was to check whether the person behind the door was still alive. You might think this is a story about aging, or Japanese culture, or an extreme edge case. It isn't. And where the science goes from here is much closer to your life than you'd expect. Here's what loneliness actually does to a living body. For hundreds of thousands of years, being separated from your group wasn't uncomfortable. It was a death sentence. No shelter, no shared food, no one watching while you slept. Alone meant you were going to die. So your body built an alarm for exactly that situation. The same way physical pain fires when your body is being damaged, loneliness fires when your nervous system detects social disconnection. And your body responds to it the way it responds to being attacked. Neuroscientist John Cacioppo at the University of Chicago spent 3 decades studying what that alarm actually does. Chronically lonely people's brains shift into a state of hypervigilance. The nervous system reads isolation as danger, treats neutral faces as unfriendly, ambiguous situations as threats. Sleep fragments because the brain stays partly alert, still scanning for something that isn't there. Cortisol rises. Inflammation spreads. The immune system weakens. The cardiovascular system strains. This isn't emotional damage with physical side effects. It's a threat response running continuously with no off switch. Researcher Julianne Holt-Lundstad at Brigham Young University analyzed data from over 3 million people and found that chronic loneliness increases the risk of early death by 26%. It carries the same mortality risk as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, greater than obesity, greater than physical inactivity. The UK looked at that data and created a government cabinet position to address it. A Minister of Loneliness, because the numbers demanded it. Now here's the part almost no one talks about. Cacioppo's research found that loneliness spreads, measurably through social networks the same way behaviors do. A lonely person gradually becomes more withdrawn, more likely to misread social cues as rejection, more likely to pull back, which creates more distance, which deepens the isolation, which intensifies the alarm. And the people around them begin showing elevated loneliness too, even if nothing in their own lives changed. It moves outward, quietly, without anyone noticing until the gap is already wide. Right now, your brain is doing something predictable. It's placing this in a different category. Elderly people in Japan, people without friends, not you. You have people, you're fine. But here's what Holt-Lundstad's data also showed. The critical factor isn't the number of connections someone has. It's the felt sense of disconnection. You can have a full contact list, a packed calendar, people who know your name in every room you enter, and still trigger the biological alarm if those connections don't feel real. The body doesn't count relationships. It reads them. There's a specific kind of loneliness that has no obvious external cause. You're at the dinner table with family, at a party full of people who like you, in a relationship that looks fine from the outside. And somewhere underneath all of it, the alarm is still running. That version is the hardest to name, and because it has no visible cause, it's the easiest to dismiss. The biology doesn't make that distinction. Perceived disconnection and actual isolation produce the same internal state. The alarm doesn't ask for context. It just fires. Loneliness isn't a personality flaw. It isn't weakness. It's one of the oldest survival signals in the human body, running exactly as designed, in a world that quietly removed most of the conditions that used to resolve it. For most of human history, the alarm fired, and the group was right there. The closeness was unavoidable. The resolution was built into daily life. Modern life kept the alarm. It just moved the group further away. The people found too late in those Japanese apartments weren't failures at being human. They were people the alarm had been running in for a very long time, with nowhere left to send the signal. And the distance that leads there doesn't happen all at once. It happens gradually, quietly, one small drift at a time, until the gap feels too wide to cross. Your body built that alarm because other people were never optional. That hasn't changed. The world just got very good at making it feel like they might be. If this put words to something you've been carrying, that's what Curio Brain is here for. Every week, we go deeper into the science behind what makes us human. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if this one landed somewhere specific for you, drop it in the comments. Sometimes just saying so is the first thing.